right, everyone. Welcome back to episode 3 of The Stir, Livingston County. We're so glad that you're with us today here on YouTube. And I'm here with my lovely co-host, Ella Keaton. And because Jace is sick today, he has a cough.
We have decided to replace the sick person with someone who is also sick.
Not contagious
but
sick.
less
Not contagious sick.
Just a little bit less sick.
Yes,
So.
we want to leave the germs at home. So we are bringing in today our very good friend, Ms. Julie Ohashi, who is the founding member and I guess you would say president, right, of Stand Against Extremism, Livingston County, and also the sister group, Livingston Integrity. And yeah, welcome, Julie. We are so glad that you are here.
I'm so happy to be here.
That's great. That's awesome. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you today about a lot of different things. So we are going to get to that.
Yeah, what did you do, Casey?
Well, what did I do like this weekend?
Sure.
What'd you do? What did you do?
This weekend. Okay, so this weekend, I went out to a place called the Emmerich Center in Brighton.
Cool.
A lot of people haven't heard of this, but it's down by Island Lake Recreational Area, and it was a spiritual retreat. So I've been going through a lot of changes in my life over this past year or so, growing a lot, just interpersonally, and it was a retreat out in nature, bunch of nature-y type things. Nature wandering, maybe a little witchy, maybe a little guru, maybe a little zen, good vibes. Wandering out in the woods, doing some meditation, meeting new people. And yeah, this is all in Brighton. It was amazing. I met a really nice core group of folks, and we had a great time. So I'm back, and I'm got my zen. Found my zen. I'm fully zen. And you can't see it over there, but we got a new poster over here, which I really like, and I want to thank my husband Jim for hanging this up for me. And there's going to be more pictures, by the way. We're gonna do this whole studio up. It's gonna look great. It's gonna look great. Anyways, enough talk about decorating. Ella has an announcement.
Yes,
and it's a big one. Okay,
I'm running for county commissioner because.
Woo, woo. Okay, don't clap in the mic, but I'm gonna clap. That's awesome.
So you see that brown. If you see that brown patch on this map, that is the district I am running in, which
Osceola, Hartland.
So it's Osceola, east of Latson Road, and the entirety of Hartland Township. I will be running as county commissioner there next year.
That is amazing.
Very nice.
That is also, is that your district, Julie?
Yeah.
So you will be able to...
No, I'm actually out. I'm on the border.
That's
I'm just
too bad.
outside. You're in Oakland County, but
I saw Osceola and I got excited because that's where I used to live.
Yeah, Oakland County is not next to Livingston County, according to Wes.
and who is
He's literally like a block from my house.
He's a block from your...
Speaking of, Wes is the incumbent, Wes Nakagiri.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell who's Wes.
He is very not good person. He's
a really shitty person.
Here's the thing.
I'm just going to say it.
That's a really nice way of saying it.
Here's the thing. You go on the front page of his website. Factual errors on the front page.
Wait, the county commissioner has a website?
Wes has a website.
Oh.
So front page of his website. He's like factual errors. He's cherry picking data.
Yeah, cherry picking. He's as well.
He claims that all the data is updated to like 2023 when some of it is like from 2018 and there is 2021 data he could be using. He is leaving out the fact that Shiawassee County and Oakland County are next to Livingston County, so maybe he should compare against those two as well.
Or, get him a map or something. He just needs one to, kind of learn where he is and what's around him, maybe.
I'm sure he knows where everything is. He knows where everything is. He's doing this on purpose.
Yeah, he just leaves it out.
It's just what's convenient. Convenient for the narrative at that time.
Right. So you're gonna be running for county commission. as a former county commission candidate, I am extremely excited for you.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be, I'm over the moon. I think it's going to be a great opportunity.
And like real quickly, I guess, enough talking about why I don't like the previous person. What I am going to be focusing on is transportation, because we have a population where people are getting older and older, and they are going to need to be able to get around the county without having to rely on someone to drive them. And in addition, there are many people who can't drive here who need to be able to get around. There are many people who really don't want to be driving, but they have to, who would very much like public transportation option. There is existing demand for a bus route down Grand River Avenue that is not being met. And we have a county commission that is causing less transportation it's being held back.
Yeah, tell me about, because there's money, you messaged me about this earlier this week.
So basically,
there's money on the table right now, grant money that the county is just leaving on the table.
So they're not even writing the grant for it?
Here's the thing. So there is they need a 15% match. That has to come from local funds.
Gotcha.
So if you don't have enough, then some of that federal grant money, it doesn't get lost, it gets carried forward.
Okay.
But, we're not using the full potential of the federal grant money for for public transportation.
Well, why would we do that when we could just pass toothless resolutions about COVID and firearms that don't really... this is kind of what Wes does, right, on the county commission. Yeah. This is what he's known for doing. Making these blanket resolutions on the county commission that don't mean anything, that don't really have any truth. They're just... Yeah. They're like BS people. Okay, so what they are, there's no authority into them at all. They're basically just a way to gin up the base. Okay?
Yeah, what he's choosing to do is to focus on issues that have absolutely nothing to do with the county, that has never been a problem in this county, and not focusing on issues that actually are a problem.
Yeah,
or aren't relevant to them because they're probably privileged and drive anyways and don't care about.
Well, here's the thing: even if you drive, so many people in this county work in Oakland County, or they work in Genesee County, or in Ingham County, or in Washtenaw. They work in one of the surrounding counties, and they commute. I think I saw a statistic a pretty significant number of people have to commute a pretty significant distance to get to work.
Yeah, and not only that, but then there's also seniors.
Wouldn't they like to, not be driving, because that is a pretty taxing activity.
Yeah.
Anyways, enough talking about me.
No, it's good. And there was one other point really quickly I wanted to make about that. Seniors as well. We have a real advancing senior population here. People are aging, they're graying here in Livingston County. Yeah. As you get older, not everyone is able to drive. It's not safe for people who are, of a certain age to drive. They rely on family members to drive them. I know that because I've got my own brother-in-law and my mother-in-law. Neither one of them drive. So tomorrow I'm running my brother to the doctors because he has Parkinson's. He cannot drive anymore. So if we don't do it, and I'm lucky that we were able to do that for him, but not everybody is that fortunate where they have family members immediately around them who could take care of them.
This is not the me running for county commissioner episode. This is the episode we talk about Julie.
But I get fired up about local issues. I get really fired up about it. That's why I ran for office 3 times.
We can talk more about this on a later episode. Oh, yeah, and we have a whole year.
Yes, we are going to be talking about it. But I did just want to say huge congratulations to you, Ella. Yes. That's huge. That's huge. So Julie, exciting. We're going to pivot over to you now. Tell us a little bit about yourself, because I think a lot of people, once SAGE, which for everyone, SAGE stands for Stand Against Extremism, Livingston County, and they have a sister organization called Livingston Integrity. Once these groups started gaining momentum and were covered in the news, SAGE has been covered in statewide news. Has it been covered in national news?
Yeah, it's showed up.
National news, it's been mentioned in national news, and certainly local news. People started paying a lot of attention to you, but when you first started, Julie, you didn't start under your own name. So a lot of people you were running kind of behind the scenes. You had a Facebook name that was private, which a lot of people have. A lot of people have Facebook monikers.
That was by design.
By design. And you did that probably to protect your family and yourself, yes. Right? Because you were upsetting a lot of people who...
Well, I grew up in this town, so I knew who I was going to be poking. It wasn't going to be people that were going to be very happy about it.
And you were actually concerned for your well-being and for your family's well-being. Because you are a Hartland mom, so you have a kid in school this year, right?
Yes. I grew up in Howell, though.
You grew up in Howell. So what brought you back here? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I think, so one of the reasons I left Howell was because of a lot of the racism that I grew up with. A lot of my friends had very unfortunate instances in public education over in Howell High. I graduated in 2001, and then I left pretty quickly. We would see, walking from Howell High back to my house, like every day, robed Klansmen at our train tracks would have meetings.
Wow.
I did not even realize that was like not normal for the earlier part of my life. I mean, it was a regular thing. There was a black family that had crosses burned in their yard while I was living back there. We had, of course, the infamous Klan rally at our courthouse. There was instances where my best friend found, we were in his dad's closet, we found a robe, it was much more of a thing.
A Klan robe?
Yeah. Like it was his grandfather's, so it was like, it wasn't in use currently, but it's there.
They had an auction. Like when I was working at the paper about 20 years ago, they had an auction of Klan memorabilia, right? In downtown
that was when
Howell.
That was when Miles had passed, probably.
That was a huge deal.
Yeah. I mean,
he was were not happy
in my time period of living in Howell. Miles was holding. He's the Grand Dragon for the state of Michigan. Yeah, but he was in Cohocton at the time, and he was holding hate rallies regularly, the cross burnings, the whole shebang.
He bombed buses. He bombed school buses in Pontiac.
Yeah, he was convicted for that.
Very bad dude.
Him and multiple other KKK members. They actually were the third wave of the Klan, the KKK, which kind of rose its head back up during civil rights movement.
Right.
And so he specifically got involved with education, which is the scary part to me, knowing that back history. He tarred and feathered a superintendent in, like, I want to say the 70s, maybe 60s.
Oh my gosh.
Literally trapped him on a bridge in the middle of the night at gunpoint, ripped him out of his car, and tarred and feathered this guy. And it's these scare and intimidation tactics. And at the time, it was because that superintendent was anti-segregation. It was during the busing, which they were very against. They wanted the segregation. And so Miles was a very... if you've ever seen the documentary, I think it's called Blood in the Face. It's an interviews him, and it talks about how they had thousands of members in the 80s and how they recruit among the automotive industry workers specifically, and how they have a stronghold in the Detroit area. It's very interesting.
There's a video on YouTube that you can look up. I don't have the link, but it's the where you're talking about that documentary where they actually they show footage of that Klan meeting in Cohocton, and this was not like very long ago.
No, that's my whole point, is those people had, children who are now raising children in our community. And so when people come and say things like, oh, there is no racism in Livingston County, it's like, well, you clearly aren't from here, or you're just a white supremacist sympathizer. It's one of the two, because it's very deep here. Yeah. And that's a big reason why I dug out. When I graduated, I hit the West Coast and did my thing. I was recently transplanted back during COVID. We lost our housing, couldn't maintain on just my teacher's salary.
Where were you?
In Hawaii.
You were near Lahaina. Were you not, like, was
yeah. My husband, his entire adult life was in Lahaina, and half of his childhood was in Lahaina because he's actually a Lanai-born native, which is just a 40-minute boat ride from Lahaina.
And then
So can you tell us about like what you're doing now that you're back in Livingston County? Well, not in Livingston County.
Well, I started going to some local school board meetings because at the time I was really worried about COVID mitigation strategies as a teacher. I mean, it was very scary times at that point because, I work with elementary population and they are constantly germ and sick before COVID, And so I was just kind of getting a feel for like what districts in the area might have more safe protocol in place that I would be more comfortable because we have autoimmune compromised people in the family and young kids, and I didn't want to be bringing that home. So Hartland is the closest. It's just down the street. And so I started showing up to some meetings, and it was really eye-opening. I was very surprised by what I was seeing. It was a hot button topic at the time, obviously. With COVID stuff, but I was like, I don't know if I can go back in the classroom.
Right.
I have no desire.
Yeah. A lot of us were very outspoken about COVID, and you and I didn't know each other at that time. You and I have only known each other, maybe I would say about 6 months. It kind of got started with the school board meetings where I kind of ran across you, and we could talk about that in a minute. But COVID was kind of there was a lot of, that was the whole reason why I had the sheriff's investigation against me for my tweet, was because I called out a nurse who was spreading health misinformation in her community. This is prior, just right around the time of the vaccine. People were still dying all over the place. How many millions of people have we lost worldwide to COVID?
Oh, my father-in-law. I mean, we have lots of families that...
You lost your father-in-law to COVID?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah.
But people were around here pretending like none of that was happening. And meanwhile, here I am working, in, I work in healthcare. I could see the effects that it was having, the burden that it was having on our healthcare system. And that's what caused me to speak up about it. When I saw this nurse, Holly Austin, speak at the Brighton School Board meeting and basically say vaccines could give children myocarditis and whatever else she was saying, talking about anti-mask and whatever. I pulled out my camera and I started filming her, and that was a public meeting, and I put it on Twitter, and all of a sudden I've got the sheriff investigating me. So when I heard about you and I heard about what you were doing, through your involvement with the school, in Hartland with the school board races, and trying to speak out against these, what we talked about last week, were called clean slaters, these far right candidates, and that you were taking a vocal stance, although you were doing it under, a moniker. You were doing, I call it a moniker, whatever they call it now. You weren't putting your Facebook name on there. It did make me worry a little bit about what could happen to you, because they tried to throw me in prison for tweeting. So, and the sheriff actually bought into that.
Is that the same sheriff we have right now?
That's Mike Murphy. So yeah, I'll never forget the day I got that call from a deputy at my house, and I was like, "Are you kidding me right now? This all took place at a public meeting. This is public footage. I haven't contacted this woman. I did submit a complaint to Laura, and I know this isn't a show about COVID, but those nurses were asking, the Michigan Board of Nurses were asking to give information about nurses who were publicly spreading misinformation. So that's what I did. Anyway, but my worry was that you were going to be, targeted in this way as well.
The reason why I chose that too is in Hartland, I saw, I think it was Mike Detmer at the time was running. He showed up to a Hartland meeting that I was at, and there was Proud Boys there. They were very clearly wearing identifying gear, and Mike's
good friends with the Proud Boys.
I was absolutely floored because they were there coming after specifically gay students at that meeting, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is crazy sauce. So then fast forward to September, I stopped going. I was like, I'm done. I'm definitely not going to be teaching in Hartland. I have a
what's your specialty, just real quickly?
I have a master's in education. I do verbal behavioral special education.
Special education, verbal behavioral.
Yeah,
okay.
Elementary, early childhood development.
Sorry, just want to get that out there. Didn't want to interrupt.
K through 5 is what I'm certified. So when I was driving, because my child is serviced in Hartland, and I drive down there every single day, I passed these signs, and I was watching them be professionally installed. And then they showed up on every corner. They were massive, like just like body size signs, right? And the thing that really struck me was that there was four, and I know that, usually a school board is a seat of 7. So I'm going, this is an overthrow. The very first thing I saw on this sign was, this is an overthrow, before I even read the bottom, which was education, not indoctrination, which literally gutted me. As a teacher, even though I don't work in that district, that is an attack on teachers, if I had ever seen it. And I was just like, what is going on? Like, I was sick to my stomach for those teachers.
Yeah. Because, I mean, what kind of people make an enemy out of educators? Like, this is a new thing in society where you make teachers the enemy.
Yeah, I knew nothing.
But this is really what they were trying to do.
I knew nothing about the Hartland School Board at the time, nor did I really care to. But, I'm being curious. I checked out the QR code, and then I really took a deep dive into what they were putting out there, and it was just downright scary. It was very, very scary.
So do you want to talk about anything about these signs? Like,
I saw this yellow sign campaign kicked off. They were being put up next to those big signs, and I thought they were genius.
Yeah, and it says like indoctrination. Are you serious? Support our teachers. Stop attacking them.
And they were these little signs that were going next to their big signs, and they were having a hard time. So online, people were posting pictures. The community was really pumped about it, and a lot of teachers. I saw one comment that was like, "This was like the rebel flag flying." I think it was in
it got
Star
a
Wars.
lot of attention.
They were just like, "Oh my gosh, we have backup. People are coming to help." And I was like, "We need a spot to collect these people who are really having big feelings about this right now." And so that's when I created the Stand Against Extremism. Livingston County, at the time private, we kept it a private page where I would just, invite folks that I saw having similar concerns. They were pretty much all a school community. It was teachers, it was parents, and it was just a spot where we could start organizing and thinking about like, what can we do? Like this resistance, what does this look like? How do we educate? I think that's the biggest part of where I was going, is how do we educate the community? Because a lot of people have no idea. I mean, if you're not paying attention to school board stuff, which who the heck pays attention to school board?
A lot of people were not, and I think that's really how these four clowns ended up getting on the school board, really, is because people were not paying attention.
I think that
a lot. We're paying attention now.
I think a lot of the feedback I was getting at the time was they were like, this is so bananas that there's no way they're going to get in. There was this oh, we don't have to worry about it because no way. Yeah. And then it was just like blind, like.
Well, that's the same thing that's not the first time people were like, there is no way this person's going to win, and then they won. Definitely not.
It's interesting. I'm interested in who funded that. You know what I mean? Like they had a lot of money being sunk into the.
There was the Hartland Business Association. If you looked into the filing reports, pretty much like all the main big names with like Walden Woods and
Hartland Business Association. Is this not affiliated with the Hartland Chamber? What is this, like a shadow chamber?
Yeah, it's not a real. It's not a real entity. They're very secretive. They're very careful about keeping their stuff off the books, but there's board members that we were starting to notice was on certain like Walden Woods boards. So
they want transparency. That's what they're claiming they want on their slate, but yet
well, it makes you wonder, like, why does the business? Why do the local businesses want people?
Yeah, what is their interest in that? It does kind of make you wonder. I know we're getting off track. It just my brain went there for a minute, but. Anyway,
we have evidence that Wes Nakagiri was sponsoring the clean slates.
Can we talk about, like, especially Wes Nakagiri's, campaign against you?
Yeah, because let's back up a little bit here, because yes, we want to explain this to some people, and for people who can't. So Wes Nakagiri is the county commissioner in this District 4 currently. He's the incumbent. And obviously Wes is a person of a lot of influence. He's county commissioner. He can make things happen out in this county when if he were to really put his mind to it. we've talked about some of the things that have been going on in this county that haven't been getting attention, like underinvestment in seniors, public transportation.
And rather than investing in these things, he chooses to go after Julie.
And on a one-man crusade to really harass you, target you, because what happened was you were doxxed. Right? Can you talk about that? Yeah. Somebody, we don't know who.
Yeah, someone.
So Livingston Integrity launched our organization in March because we had a millage renewal vote to keep our public schools funded in Hartland. And so our Livingston Integrity, we throw our weight behind qualified candidates for school library board stuff, local elections, and then important bonds. Mm-hmm. And so when we saw that millage coming, and then we saw this downright attack to defund public education, we hit a yes campaign very hard at the end of March.
Yeah, because they were gonna say no. They didn't want to fund the millage. I saw those posts.
No,
as well.
They were tying groomers and all this pedophilia propaganda, all this manufactured.
Everyone I don't like is a pedophile.
Yeah, that's basically the massive manufactured outrage about nothing. But what it came down to, they had billboards on the back of wagons they were even driving through town. It was wild. They clearly went after the teachers.
And this is school funding. This was funding for what? What was it funding for? Buildings?
This was 10% of the school's budget. It was 10%, $25 million, I think, over a 5-year period that the school would be lost. And they would have to cut staff, transportation, security. It would significantly impact our district.
And they were actively campaigning against us, but they were very unsuccessful. Unsuccessful.
So my point is, we're talking about the doxing. Livingston Integrity launched our Yes campaign end of March. And April 1st, I was doxed in a Facebook group, parent Hartland group, that opposed the millage.
Okay.
So that group, my name, my personal photos, and information on where I lived was posted by an anonymous person.
Okay. And then what happened after that? Tell us what happened after that.
Yeah, then the very next day, that showed up on talking about daily rituals and practices. I do meditative walking as something that I do regularly. I take my kid and my dog to the lake all the time. Daily. This is a walking path that's only between my house and the lake. It's a private association, so it's a gated.
So for people who are not watching on YouTube but are listening on audio, this is a picture of a tree with a giant swastika, and we don't know if it was... Police say they still can't figure this out, whether it was burned in the tree or spray painted into the tree.
Well, there was burned areas on the tree.
There were burned areas on the tree.
It had rained a significant... This is back in the beginning of April, so there was a lot of soggy. It was very rainy.
And this is a huge swastika, and it's on a tree just outside your property.
Yeah, you can actually see the red in the background is literally my kid's swing set.
Can you scroll up a little, Ella?
Nope.
Is that the full shot? Oh.
Well, the whole point is it's just outside my property line, but there's no other houses here. There's no other houses here. So at the time, was I targeted? I didn't know. But it felt very coincidental.
Well, yeah. If I were to be walking outside my property and all of a sudden, I see a swastika I live at a private road, a dirt road, and a cul-de-sac. And if I were to go out there to an area that I know people knew I would have to, walk to, I would be wondering about that too. I think that's a person.
It was an extreme. Assumption. It felt like a huge violation. My first instance was my heart stopped, and I'm like, is there a siege? Is there people in the woods that are ready to do some harm? I just got my dog and my kid in the house as fast as I could. That was the very first thing, and then I went back out, and it was just this is crazy. And so I just called the police instantly, and because. Our family has been on this property for generations, multiple generations, and we have never seen anything like this. My husband is dark, very, very dark. Mm-hmm. And then, so part of me is did somebody, because we've had racist experiences.
Just to clear it up, when you say dark, he is indigenous Hawaiian, right? He's native. Yeah. Native Hawaiian.
But he's dark enough that when we went to Howell Pride,
I know
sitting
James.
out on the road.
James is very dark. We had people
scream out the window, "I hate black people,
Yes,
you know, like
yes,
at him. So he's dark enough that people
and
like
he's
associate.
probably the darkest person in your community.
100%,
like
100%.
you
Which
know.
was my whole point in telling the police officer, like, we have a minority that lives in this household.
Right.
This is not a house of
That's
white
what
people.
you were trying to say.
that
Well,
is-
and I'm going to
yeah.
say this, like, because what I was mentioning earlier, how I was in trouble, okay? But because I had somebody calling me, like, saying they wanted to investigate me, a sheriff's deputy. But even with you, like, police destroy innocent people's lives all the time. It happens every day. I'm not
Especially
necessarily...
brown and black people.
Exactly.
So basically, what we're trying to say here is Wes tried to paint you as a liar
Yes.
because you mistakenly said that your husband was black instead of, you know, very dark, which, you know, here's the thing. This is a very minor mistake. You went back and corrected yourself.
Right,
You did go back
before
and
any of that happened,
And
I got
he
a copy of the police
still
report.
Did a smear campaign against you.
Yes.
He said that, you know, he's like, oh, you're an outsider.
Let's talk about what the smear campaign actually looked like. See, because here's the thing. He came at you like, oh, I filed a FOIA request, which he did, and I FOIA'd all the police reports. And what he did is he tried to basically... He never accused you of doing it yourself, but he opened the doorway to cast aspersions on you that led other people to make this completely disgusting,
The Clean Slates campaign manager had straight out said that I did it to myself. One of the board members completely straight up said I did it to myself.
But he's not going to be brave enough to say that because he knows that that's not. First of all,
Yeah.
he knows it's not true, and it would open him up to potential litigation if he did.
That's when I stopped paying attention. I was like, this is so crazy. I am not even going to give any... I called it a starvation campaign, which is exactly what the city of Howell did with the KKK when they came to the courthouse. It was the same. It worked historically, and I said, that's what we're going to do again. I'm done. And so I honestly, I've never even opened up any of the stuff that they did on me because it was so
Good.
nuts. Because honestly, so what you're talking about is a month after... So it happened on August... I found out, I think, like April 2nd. The millage was May 2nd, okay, timeline-wise. I didn't come forward with that information to anybody because I was scared that it was going to scare our people who were killing it with the campaign. The Yes campaign was doing so good, but I was afraid that if I made this information known, that our people would be scared. And they would be afraid that they would become targets. So I chose not to make this information known.
Are you talking when you say that?
The swastika.
Okay.
I did not
okay.
want anybody to know what had happened to me. So, and then the millage passed and we won. It was great. And so the next board meeting, I talked about it. I didn't go to the press. I just wanted it to be known that this happened. And then the press picked it up because they were at that board meeting.
Gotcha.
And so when that press picked it up, the journalist had actually contacted me and said there's discrepancies in the report, which I'd never bothered to look at the report. Why would I care? And they said, well, they're saying, well, there may or may not be burning, and there was this. And so I said, I'm just going to go down to the police station and get a copy myself. And I showed the police officer at the time. I still had a video on my phone of the charring. And he goes, yeah, that's clearly burned. And he's like, let's go out and we're going to go back and look at it. He wanted to. And I was like, okay, I didn't ask for it. But when I read the report, I saw that they had written that my husband was African American, and I said we need to fix that. He's indigenous, and that stuff, and so they did, and it was no problem.
So you corrected yourself,
right? This
and
was
Wes
early.
still did
this
a smear campaign against you.
Yeah,
which to me just shows that they're reaching significantly.
They are definitely
And when I saw
reaching.
that somebody had caught wind and said, "Hey, they're going to FOIA your reports. They're going to be doing this big thing," so I, for funsies, went and FOIA'd my own reports just to see what they found. And oh my gosh, when I started reading it, I was just like. I mean, the police officer literally was like, I proved that she's not a Hartland teacher, and I was just sick to my stomach. It's like, I never said that I was a Hartland teacher. I said that I was doing this campaign in Hartland, and that I'm an advocate for this parent group, but I had no point, and that I'm a teacher, that's my degree, that's my what I do for a living.
Right.
But he made.
You've never tried to present yourself as a Hartland teacher, and this whole time I've ever known you, have you ever said that?
So the fact that they made that inference and then made it like continuously reported in there, I shut that police report, and I had made that decision in that moment that I was not going to listen or open up anything else at that point. There was anxiety it caused my family and I was just done.
The police investigation, from what I read about, it was underwhelming to begin with. They never ever seem to be able to catch these people. We're still waiting to find out.
I want to point out, in that first month where I didn't even speak out about it, we had multiple other hate crimes in the same neighborhood. We had pride flags stolen off of people's houses, and I'm talking Spider-Man style. Like, these were not, a flagpole by the street. They came up onto their property, climbed their house, stole these flags, and then burned them on the beach.
And there were news reports about that as well.
Multiple.
That was another thing. Wes Nakagiri, I think he said that there were no news reports on it.
No,
there
but
were
there
news reports on that.
Yes, and there was a police report made on it.
And a police report.
So it wasn't just this incident. Oh, and then in May, we also had, anti-Semitic flyers. So, okay, let me back up. So the people who had, in my neighborhood, who had the pride flag stolen, they also had anti-LGBTQ memes printed in color and put into their mailboxes, which is super creepy. And then I want to say May, anti-Semitic literature, which again was printed, color, stuck inside baggies with like deer feed. It looked like corn kernels, were chucked into another neighborhood here in Hartland's driveways, which was linking pedophilia to
this is a
Jewish
major
practices.
Increase in anti-Semitic, anti-LGBTQ hate crimes in one neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I think you said this earlier, but you live in the same neighborhood as Wes Nakagiri.
Just like a couple blocks, yeah.
And he paints you as an outsider.
He paints you as an outsider because
you're
4 houses down.
Well, it's the lake. Yeah. It's just like that lake situation that Brooke also experienced.
Here's
I think.
the thing,
How
though.
close do you have to live to Wes Nakagiri to
Our
be in the
lives
community?
do not end at county lines. This is like a brilliant quote.
Well, that's the funny part is so I chuckle inside whenever I hear that, because I shop all the Hartland stores. I'm in Hartland Meyer all the time. I frequent the district, the businesses, and eat out at all the Heartland places. I have never seen them. I'm like, what? You're talking about?
You always message me and you're like, I'm out and about. Like you and I we message. And I know sometimes, Julie, I will say this. Sometimes you have messaged me in the past, because you and I do a lot of voice messaging. Like you'll record something and I record something, and we talk.
That's
to
a lot
each other.
with my autoimmune.
Yeah, mine, and I don't. Yeah, I don't like with that either. I'm not about it. So. And you'll say to me, like, oh, I'm out and I don't know who's really looking at me. I don't know if people are looking at me. I don't know if I'm getting funny. And I know how that feels because I have gone through that myself.
Well, I've had people follow me. Like, I've literally changed my license plates after I believe a school board meeting in Hartland because I've been followed.
See, and that's not, listen, it's okay, people, for us all to disagree, for everyone in this community to disagree. But this is why I really wanted to have you on, Julie, because to me, this goes way beyond people disagreeing passionately about issues. This is an issue of you feeling safe in your own community, and that safety feeling under threat.
Yeah.
And
it's an intimidation and scare tactic.
It's intimidation and scare.
My first reaction is absolutely lay low, totally anxiety filled. I don't want to bring any attention to this. I don't want to make it worse for my family and myself. But then after you process those emotions, it's like, screw that. I'm not going to let them think that they've won and that they're scaring us into submission. Because the fact is there's way, way more of us in our group that are coming out and they care and they're watching out for everybody. And those people I just lost my train of thought, but they're standing up. They're not backing down. So they're actually coming out and being public about things that are happening. And if we have enough people like that, they can't target all of us.
That's right.
There's power in numbers. The group is proving that. We have a lot of people in the back channels. They have to stay low for certain reasons.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more who are stepping out and saying, you know what, this is not okay. And I am not going to let this happen anymore. Like, I had neighbors that are still going up and speaking at the school boards.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Okay, listen, we got to talk about that because I didn't even have that in my outline, and I completely forgot about it. So, your name and my name, actually, Jean Gogoleski, I think it was, brought up your name and my name as well. Maybe because we're friends. I don't really know, because I'm doing this show at a recent school board meeting. Basically rehashing these spurious allegations from Wes Nakagiri, this baseless baloney. And you're not at the school board meeting. I'm not at the school board meeting to defend themselves. And Megan Glaybach, who's the board president, is just letting her go on and on about this with people who can't even defend themselves.
Yeah, Janine, I actually talked to Janine after that, and she was like, oh, these people are trying to manipulate you.
These people... I've never met Janine Gogoleski in my life. How does she know anything about your friendship and my friendship?
Yeah. Well, what's really fun is that, they often claim that, every Facebook account is, everyone that disagrees with them is you, which is ridiculous. Anyways.
So that is why we strategically, at that point, when we saw that attack coming out, it's just not safe. The environment very clearly is toxic, and Sage made a decision just for Hartland. While the climate is as awful as it is right now, we strategically chose to stop attending. So we're not going to, where we currently have where we're just keeping it boring. We're going to all show up and show our support on Zoom. We have similar backgrounds, and we've changed our names to Kids First so that the teachers and students can see that we're still engaged, we're still paying attention.
Yeah.
And we have met with the board and the superintendent and straight up said, until the environment at the school board meetings comes back to safety and respect, we will not be physically present anymore.
All right, so we kind of do need to wrap up here. So I'm just going to real quickly say that Sage is going to be holding Brews and Views every fourth Monday. So on October 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. at Witch's Hat Brewing Company is Brews and Views. You can go to that. In addition, I'm
going to interrupt real quick. That can be a little bit of a trek. And so if anybody needs carpooling, we have that option available.
Yes.
And the email is, just for the audio folks out there. Sage, SAGELIVCO @gmail.com. SageLiveCo @gmail.com. If you want more information on that, email them and they'll get that to you.
And we also have a bonfire coming up Saturday, October 14 in Howell. You will need to join. You will need to say going or interested on the Facebook group in order to receive the address for that, though. Yeah,
you can jump on. You can find, if you go on Facebook and you type in Stand Against Extremism, LIVCO, we have a public group now, and there's these are Facebook events that are pinned to the top of the page, so you can find more information there. You also have our contact information. Our phone number is 517-758-6621. Sorry, it's on the poster. I think that's it.
Ella, you have young.
There it is.
It's 517-798-6621.
And I just want to emphasize between now, so October is going to be super fun. We're actually focusing a lot on resiliency and self-care because that's something I've had to build up in myself over these past few months. I can't believe that happened in April, and this is half a year later we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
So I want to really get that power harnessed within ourselves so that we can come from a place of connection, because there's a lot of trauma that this brings up for people. And so we're focusing on building community. And what does that self-care look like within our movement? And so that's where October is being emphasized, our focus is at. But I want to say, so in the next 2 weeks leading up to the bonfire on the 14th, which is on a new moon, will be magical. We will be having a organizational meeting. So if you want to come check out what we're doing, we're going to be working on campaign strategies for the 2024 election year.
Because that's really in Livingston Integrity is all about. You want to start promoting candidates that you feel are responsible, qualified, and have the right,
and nonpartisan, truly nonpartisan,
but have the right ideas. Because really, that's part of the reason why these people attack you. is because they don't really have any good ideas of their own. They have no platform of their own that they can stand on, because if they did, they would be able to put that out there and gain followers. But because they don't, they have to attack people and make people feel threatened, the people who actually do have ideas for making things better.
Yeah, so our whole focus this year has been on base building, and that's what these events in October are really highlighting, is like coming in, meeting us, talking, super informal, super chill, super relaxed, just fun times. But then next year's a campaign year. Next year,
Julie.
2024 is a campaign year. And that's when you're going to see Livingston Integrity pop in, because we are a political action committee. And that's when you're going to start seeing that change switch over to
Yes,
Livingston.
thank you so much, Julie. We are going to...
You're going to be with us through the whole show. But we want to have, we wanted to get this all out now. And
yes,
this has been
we
fantastic.
We are going to now move on to our interview.
Yes, I didn't even do a rundown because I was so excited to have...
We have 2 interviews coming up. So we are going to start with our first interview.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Stir. Today we have with us Christian Primm, rising talent and senior at Hartland High School. And just as of last Friday, Christian was crowned the homecoming king for Hartland High School here in 2023. Oh, is that your mom? We have Christian with us right now.
Hello.
Was that your mom, Christian?
Yeah, it is my friend's mom.
Oh, your
we were
friend's
hanging
mom.
out after. Yeah, homecoming was last night, so.
That's okay.
Yep.
I thought that was maybe your mom. That's okay. Welcome, Christian. How are you today?
I am great.
That's awesome. We're so glad that you're here. And we just wanted to take a few minutes to talk with you a little bit about Friday's game, about your being, a senior in Hartland. Could you tell us a little bit about the homecoming game and how you were nominated and how that made you feel?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to be able to rally the support of all of my fellow senior band members who really support me, and it was really great. And we have the numbers, and they were able to get me up there, and it was just, during that game, it didn't feel real. Like, knowing that I have all of these people who love and support me, it is so great, and it feels so good.
That is really amazing. So you're in the band then, right?
Yes.
What do you play in the band?
I play mellophone.
A mellophone?
Yeah.
What's a mellophone? I don't know what that is.
So it's a marching French horn. It looks like a trumpet, just bigger. And
very cool. And you're also in choir as well, right?
Yes.
Now, yep. I did a little bit of digging on you, Christian. I hope that's okay.
Yeah,
but I saw last May, when you were a junior, you got nominated for All-State Honors Choir. Is that right?
Yes, I did. Yep.
That is amazing. Now, that's pretty much one of the highest state honors that you can get in choir, right?
Yeah.
Now, did you have to audition for that?
Yep. Yeah, that was like a 2 audition process. I participated in regionals and states, and then my audition was high enough to get me all the way to All-State. That's
great. And are you going to audition again this year?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, great. Best of luck to you on that. I think
Thank
you're a shoo-in. So, can you tell me a little bit, what are some of your plans for after high school?
After high school, I would like to go to Columbia College, Chicago, and I plan to study vocal performance and sing for the rest of my life.
That's amazing. That is fantastic. So, Christian, we have some video that a parent took of you being announced for Homecoming King on Friday. Would it be okay if we played that? Can you hear?
Of course.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
All right, I'm going to cue that up.
Cue that up, Ella.
Homecoming King, Christian Primm. Homecoming Queen, Nicole.
clearly you have quite a fan base.
Yeah. Yes, I'm very lucky.
So, okay, well that is fantastic. So tell us a little bit more about that. How, like, who was there one friend who nominated you, or did the whole band kind of get together and say that they wanted to do this?
So the way we do it is we have the senior class vote just to get us up there. And then once we got up there, voting was open to everyone. And I am lucky enough that doing all the activities I do, I am able to connect with so many people. And I feel like by knowing all of these people, it was very helpful, and they were very kind in voting for me, and I was able to make it through all my connections.
That's great. And that probably just made you feel really loved and supported, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was great.
What'd your parents think?
They were very excited.
That's great. That's fantastic. So one of the reasons, Christian, that we wanted to bring you on, because you know, we have homecoming kings and queens, you know, and congratulations to all of them throughout homecoming season. Everyone in every high school, Howell, Pinckney, Hartland, Fowlerville, Brighton, all the schools, congratulations to their homecoming court, you know, and everyone who made it. It's an achievement for anybody. But part of the reason why we wanted to bring you on today is because you are an openly gay student at Hartland High School. Is that right?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about what that experience has been like for you, and a little bit of story? Like, when did you come out? What made you decide to do that?
Yeah, so I've been open since middle school. It's always been just who I am. I've always been different, you know. And it's just, you kind of just decide to embrace it, especially in a place like this where that doesn't really happen a lot. It just, you kind of just are who you are, and that's all it is. So
you're just you have just boldly gone forward and been yourself. That's been, let your light shine, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's great. And so would you say that your friends and the adults in your community, teachers, parents, have been supportive of you along the way, and how important has that been to you to have them be supportive of you?
Yeah, it has. It's been the most important thing. It's what's making me get through, you know, all the support. You need support when you go through, especially when you're a minority in a place like this. It's difficult to go through the day, but when you know you have those people who support you, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. And let's just be honest, band kids are awesome. Band kids when I was in school a few eons ago were also awesome. I wasn't a band kid, but I had friends who were band kids. I was like the newspaper debate team nerd kid, but like I had adjacent friends to band, and they were always so cool. Like everyone was welcoming, everyone was really accepting, kind of a come as you are, we love you for who you are kind of vibe, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The band is my family. That's
fantastic. Well, and I hope you guys will keep in touch, you know, like even after you graduate, you know, there's going to be a lot of changes, but those friendships, I think they last a lifetime if you cultivate them, you know.
For sure. Yep.
So just one other question. Well, actually, I've got two questions for you. One is, what is something that you would like to say to other students your age who are struggling with their identity in school and then might be afraid of not being accepted amongst their peers? What kind of advice would you have for them?
Yeah, so I would suggest find your people. And once you find those people, you feel so much more comfortable being yourself that like your fears just go away. You just have to find the people who will support you, and it's hard to do, but once you do, it is so much better.
Sounds like band and choir like are a safe space for that. So
absolutely
something for students to know who might be struggling. And then my last question I had for you, I want you to talk to the adults. Do you think we're growing as a community here in terms, because you had mentioned that, and before you kind of alluded to like it was hard coming out, especially in a community like this. You kind of said, you know, like it's difficult. Do you think are we growing in terms of our acceptance of LGBTQ folks out here? And what do you think are our strengths and some of the things that adults out here need to work on? Like, basically, what do you want them to know about your experience and how they can be most supportive of young LGBTQ students in the community?
Yeah, so I feel it's really important to just be open to hearing about it. I know when people hear about things that are different, they immediately want to just shut it down, but it's important to just open up and at least listen and attempt to understand. And making those youth voices feel heard makes them a lot more comfortable coming out no matter where they are.
That's so important. We are all so appreciative of you, Christian, for coming out here today and spending time with us and talking with us. We wish you all the best of luck through the school year this year and into college. And yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep letting your light shine. You're a beautiful person, and we're so happy that you won Homecoming King. That's a great way to start out the year, and I think it's only going to get better for you as things move on.
I hope so. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Take care.
You too.
And we are back once again with Nicole Matthews-Creech. She is the Executive Director for the Livingston Diversity Council. And welcome to the Stir, Nicole. Stir, Nicole.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be on with you today.
It's very exciting to have you as well. I've been following the Diversity Council I think it was started like in the early 90s under a different name, and I've kind of been tracking what it is you've been doing in this community ever since then. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the Diversity Council?
I would be happy to. It's always a great opportunity to talk about the Livingston Diversity Council because most often people assume that we just started recently. And the organization actually became a registered nonprofit with the United States nonprofit as a 501c3 in 1987. And initially they were recognized as Livingston 2001. And the idea behind the name was that the kindergartners that year were going to be graduating high school in 2001, and they were going to be leaving the community in a very different place than what they were growing up in at that time. So their goals were to kind of reach their visions by 2001. And in 2001, they changed to Livingston Diversity Council because there was more things to do.
Yes, because it's now 2023, so that's like a whole, 2 decades later, can you tell us a little bit about how the Diversity Council, the Diversity Council has changed in this community, over the past few years, and where do you see yourselves going? Where do you see yourselves headed?
Yeah, absolutely. When the Livingston Diversity Council first started as Livingston 2001, they started as a reactionary group in response to things that were happening within the community. At that time, we had an active Ku Klux Klan in the community led by Robert Miles, who was the leader of the state, the Michigan State KKK. And so there were things going on in the community being hosted by the KKK, and the community didn't want that to be how we were known because it wasn't representative of most of the community. Mm-hmm. And so they came together in response to that. So for quite some time, the next 20 years or so, they really were focused on just addressing issues as they came up. They were a reactive organization, all made of volunteers, right? Just community members who said, we want things to look different here. And we want people to know that this is not who we are. Early 2000s, they started to look at different ways to be proactive, which was one of the things that actually drew me to the Livingston Diversity Council. I graduated from Brighton High School in 93. they had no idea that such an organization existed until about 2005. I joined the council in 2010 and became the board president in 2011. And my history, my experience, my education was all based around prevention work. And so I really loved the direction that they were headed and wanted to be a part of it. So becoming the board president in 2011, realizing that there needed to be a lot more support in that group. There needed to be more volunteers, not just 6 board members. Mm-hmm. And so by 2015, we were still kind of struggling with our small board. And I said, okay, we need to make some changes, or we need to stop what we're doing, because those of us that are involved are exhausted. And so we came together and built a really strong board and a really strong set of volunteer committees and volunteer opportunities. By 2018, we had 16 board members. And by 2020, we had 7 different committees, internal and external, that were working on the work that we do in the community, which is really just to lift up diversity, equity, inclusion, and access, to create a sense of belonging, a sense of welcoming. We work on placemaking with different entities, different community organizations here. We want folks within the community to feel like they're a part of the community and to be safe and to be their authentic selves. We also want folks outside of the community to see the work that's been done here and how we've changed and how we're still working to change. There's a lot of proactive. And really, we're nonpartisan. We can't be political. We're a nonprofit 501c3. Our goal is just to create safe and welcoming spaces and to be civil with each other. And that has been a really big challenge the last few years, as I think everybody listening and watching knows.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit, because this is kind of how my view on it has been, because I've lived in this county for a while. I graduated from Howell in 95, moved away for a little bit, but I worked out here. I'm familiar with this community, and it does feel like for a while there, things did get kind of quiet. Like, you didn't really see as much, after the KKK, they came to the library, they did their, the things that you talked about. They did their demonstration, people didn't show up, they didn't give them the attention that they were craving. And then you've got the Diversity Council coming out, and as kind of an response to that, I feel like over the years, like through the early 2000s to there was like a 15-year period where things were kind of quieter out here, but the community started to become a little bit more diverse. You would see more diverse faces, but then, as like you said, like as of lately, just within in the last 5 years or so, I can't even think of how many times this year, Julie, have we had headlines of racist graffiti, like different things happening in this community that are ugly and make
I've lost count.
Hateful.
Yeah, lost count.
So do you see, in light of that, and since you acknowledged it yourself, that this is becoming a more amped up, it's a problem that's returning. It's something we thought that we had managed, and now it feels like it's that energy is coming back. Where do you see the Diversity Council's role in all of that? And after we talk about that, I want to talk a little bit about the event that you have coming up too, because that's very exciting. But go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are super easy questions.
I know it's not. It's actually not. No, I understand.
If we look, although I say that, and if we look back historically, we have a lot of information. We have a lot of history to experience to look back on and say there are so many times in our history that we thought we had things right. Things, people were getting what they needed. There were rights achieved. And then, 10 years later, 20 years later, 50 years later, rights are removed. We have so much experience and so much evidence that it's not a linear progression with any of these things. And so I guess the way that I choose to look at it is every time in every movement and every effort to make things better, there's always pushback. There's always backlash. There's always folks that say, I don't like this. I think it goes to the very human nature of all of us that change is really hard, and that oftentimes change feels like something is being taken away from me. And that initiates that kind of guerrilla response in all of us to protect what we think is right. And sometimes it's just what's right for us at that moment is what feels the same, and what feels different must be wrong, or it must be challenged. And so I feel like the pushback is a natural stage that we have to go through to make some change. And it's upon all of us. And where I see the Diversity Council fitting in now is we don't take sides. We want folks to come together and have conversations, right? I say we don't take sides, but please also understand that doesn't mean that I'm not going to fight for somebody's civil rights, including my own. And that's not taking a side. That's literally just
that's having
protecting
values,
what is
personal
currently
values.
there. Right. Yeah. And it gets messy. It gets hard. Right. And so I think altogether what's making things really difficult is we have lost the ability to just have a conversation. If I disagree with you, then I must hate you, is a feeling that I get from a lot of folks, not necessarily in person, but on social media or in comments on web stories or in the news or things like that. I have a lot of friends that I sincerely, like, at their basis, we disagree on some pretty core issues. We can still be friends. We can still have conversations, and I can respect their opinion and they can respect mine. And at the end of the conversation, it's like, well, this is how we feel. And as long as we can continue to be friends with it, it's all good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that isn't that kind of like, I think that's a community that like most people who live here want. I mean, people, you know, they want everyone to, you know, we want people to feel safe here. We want people to feel like they can prosper here. And and that it's not about what your skin color is or your cultural background or anything like that. You know, it's just about these, you know, community values of respect, letting people make their own choices and how they want to live their lives, and not, you know, do no harm to other people, right? Isn't that really what it's about?
Right. And I think you're right. I think a lot of us at our core, we want that feeling for everyone. And I think for me, I go one step a little further and I say, I welcome and I revel at folks who come and be their authentic selves and appreciate that, because their experience means that I can learn without having to walk through their experiences, and we can all do better together. So I love the fact that we can bring in folks and have conversations with people that don't have the same experiences than I do. I have a very specific experience growing up in Livingston County, and being a white, straight, cisgender female who's been middle class my whole life, who is temporarily fully abled. I tend to go with the traditional religion, right? I mean, all of those things lead to my very specific experience. And that means that I don't have a lot of experience that a lot of other people have.
So that is actually an excellent segue into this Cultura event that you have coming up here. Now, this is our date. Let me make sure I got this right. October 7th, noon to 11 at the Howell Opera House. This is a new event that the Diversity Council is doing, right? I can see from your face you're very excited about this. Tell us a little bit about Cultura. Tell us.
I am excited, and 90% of me is so excited for the day, and 10% is excited for it to be over.
I know that feeling.
It has been an absolute labor of love that started. There's the poster. Yep. It's been an absolute labor of love that started it with a very general conversation, a very simple conversation, as most great ideas do. back in January, actually, of 2023, I was meeting with some folks from the Livingston Arts Council who support and provide programming with the Howell Opera House. And we both have, at least in part, as a part of our mission, to provide exposure and opportunities to learn about different cultures, right? Through the arts, through education, through just any kind of opportunities. And we were saying just it would be very cool to bring all of our worlds together and our expertise. And really, Cultura was kind of born out of that. And it started out as being a pretty small conversation and grew to this amazingly huge conversation. There are 19 different performances that folks can see at Cultura on Saturday, which is less than a week away, starting at 12 noon. We have an indoor stage inside the Opera House that will be host to a lot more of the culturally significant performances. We have Bollywood dancers, Polynesian dancers. We have a live art performance. He'll be doing a live art show during that time. We have the Bachini Bia Congo Theater Dance Company. So all kinds of different performances that relate back to those groups' cultures and really, like, it's dance and music that can be entertaining, but there's so much behind those. The moves, literally with Bollywood, right? It's like the Hawaiian dancers, the Polynesian dancers. Every move has significance. Every move actually means something, is trying to convey a message. And so those are the performances that you'll see there.
There's a spiritual element to it as well, right? It's
absolutely.
It's manifesting the spiritual through the physical, almost, in a way.
Oh, I'm heartbroken that I'm going to miss it. I'm out of town. I didn't know it was on that day.
It sounds amazing. And there's going to be international food trucks too, right?
Yes, we have 4 food trucks. We're starting out small. We do want to encourage folks to utilize the downtown businesses, right? There is the social district, so people can go visit those places. But we also have our food trucks. Some of the regular players, like Tamale Rose, that people have come to love in Livingston County, specifically in downtown Howell. But we're also bringing in a new food truck called Reggae Foodie. And they're out of Lansing, and they're Jamaican food. And so I'm super excited about them.
That sounds fantastic. So this is going to be at the Opera House, noon to 11 p.m. this Saturday, Saturday, October 7th. So, and people, do they need tickets in advance, or can they just kind of show up and party?
That's a great question. Thank you so much for bringing that up. The attendance at the event is completely free. We're not inviting folks to buy tickets. We're not requiring that. We do have a special ticketed event happening on the second floor of the Opera House that evening from 7 to 9. It's a whiskey tasting with food pairings. That requires tickets, and they can find that ticket information on our website, which is culturacelebration.com. You can also see our performance lineup, download the event schedule so you know where to go and who's performing when, whether it's our outdoor stage on Walnut Street or the indoor stage inside the Opera House. So folks can just come. They can come several times throughout the day. They can stay all day. It's a long day, but they're more than welcome to stay all day, or they can come and see a performance, go home, and come back later. The beauty of it is if you're working during the day on a Saturday, like a lot of our retailers are downtown, they still have Saturday night until 11 p.m.
11 p.m.
to see our performance.
Yeah, so tell me that website one more time, Nicole.
Yep, absolutely. It's www.culturacelebration.com.
www.culturacelebration.com. Go ahead, everyone, go to their website, check out this event. It's a free event. Food, dancing, talent, music, poetry. It's got everything. And Nicole, we so appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today about the Diversity Council, about Cultura, and hopefully we'll have you back sometime in the future.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for promoting our event. And we're so excited. And we will be doing this annually. So if you miss it this year, we'll see you next year for sure.
That's fantastic, for sure. You take care. Take care now.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
All
All right, everyone, and we're back. Welcome back to the Stir for our final segment. This is how we end our show every single time.
Good vibes.
Good vibes.
I'm good. Hijack good vibes because I have the talking pillow apparently.
Wait, this is not...
I'm going to do a plug on good vibes real fast. I want to go back to our bonfire in Howell coming up on Saturday the 14th. This is going to be phenomenal vibes. Like, it's nothing but good times. We've held events here before. They're fantastic. It's family friendly. It's a huge yard that's fenced in. Plenty of stuff for the kids to do so that the grown-ups can just sit back, chill, hang out. It's a bring your own beverage type of situation, and we have stuff that we can make on the fire. So I just really want people to come out and have some good vibes.
I will be there too. Who does not love a bonfire in the middle of October in Michigan?
On a new moon.
It's
going to be so magical.
It is going to be crazy magical. So, yes, we definitely want to plug that. If you want to meet me, if you want to meet Julie. Ella, are you planning to go, or do you know? Come back.
Maybe.
Come on
Maybe.
back. All right. All right, it's going to be a great time. So thank you for that, Julie. And then we have a good vibes here today that this is out of my comfort zone, okay? But I wanted to do it. So last week on Good Vibes, we solicited content because we always tell people we want to end the show on a positive note. Send us your anything that makes you feel good. If you have a charity that you're involved in, if you have kid pics, if you have pet pics, if you have a pet that you know of that needs adoption, that could use some extra attention, we will be happy to do that for you. But then, and that still applies, but then what I said was anything but a spider pic.
And now we are going to present Spider.
So my friend, Allison, she, her, who lives in Brighton, sent this to me. So this is, okay, now this spider it's Mia. That's her name. And Mia is a teenager, okay? So everybody look out, okay? That's what I was told. She is a preteen, okay? So she's in that phase where she's fabulous and moody and molting. And I'll tell you a little bit more about this. But Allison this is her new, that's her molting there on the right.
So spiders actually go through teenage phases?
Yes, they go through teenage phases, according to Allison. So this is what she says. Allison writes, here is Mia's story. I blame TikTok. I saw a jumping spider on TikTok and became obsessed. And they have the sweetest little faces. All my kids are in college, so I needed something to fill my time. I asked for a spider for Hanukkah, Christmas, Mother's Day, and my birthday. Everyone thought I was kidding and nobody wanted to buy me a spider. I did a little research, found a breeder. Yes, a breeder. They have breeders for this. And waited patiently for my spider to be delivered. Miss Mia...
Sorry.
I love it. Miss Mia was super shy at first, but quickly realized that without me, she'd starve. So now I know more about jumping spiders than the average person will ever need to know. She's an I7, which means she's a preteen. I guess that's the spider name. I7 is the spider name for the tween years. Every time she molts, her colors will get brighter. When she's building her web hammock, it looks like she's dancing. She now comes over when I open the door to her enclosure. I have spent a small fortune on that enclosure. She has a house, a bridge, a little ladder, and a chain of flowers to climb. She is the sweetest little thing, and I love her.
So it's a jumping spider. If you guys have kids, you need to check out Lucas, the jumping spider, on probably like YouTube. But they're YouTube, shorts, and we could
TikTok maybe too.
No,
maybe?
I don't think it's TikTok. They're the short YouTube clips.
Okay,
but Lucas, the jumping spider, made me fall in love with jumping spiders.
And I love this whole idea that she molts, and every time she molts, she gets brighter.
All right, so
who cannot relate to that? We're all shedding our skins, like, you know, and then we just get
fabulous.
Gets it brighter and more fabulous. So you go.
So yeah, remember, if you have something to submit for Good Vibes, here's our email address. That's where you put it.
Yeah, and just send us some photos, a little blurb explaining what it is that you're sharing, your pronouns, and where you're from, like not an address, but just your town, where you're from, and we'll put it on Good Vibes, so we'll share it. We always love to do that, so please go ahead and submit. So, and then Ella, do you have our socials up there that we can share really quickly?
Yes, one moment.
Okay,
after the spider.
Yeah. So
yes.
We're gonna go ahead. These are our socials. You'll be able to see. We're gonna put a little video of Mia on our socials, on our TikTok, just to show like her in her little hunting mode. And we share a bunch of other clips and stuff on.
You should do Lucas right next to hers.
Oh yeah,
It'll
we
be the
could.
best
Yeah, we
ever.
could duet. Do a Spidey duet.
Because they do like songs. It's amazing.
Oh, that's a great idea. So, so follow us on TikTok, follow us on Insta, then also our address, the Stir Pod at Transistor FM, where you can find all of our audio streaming platforms on this website if you're interested in listening to the Stir over audio, which also includes both Spotify and, as of this week, Apple Podcasts, which we are very excited about. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Julie, it's been a pleasure, and you're welcome anytime. Ella.
Yes.
And hopefully next week we will have Jace back with us. We're going to be doing an interview with the mayor of the city of Howell, Bob Ellis.
Nice.
Is going to be on our show in person. We're very excited about this. We've hit the big time. Bob is up for re-election this year on November 7th, so we want to be sure to promote him. So everyone have a great couple weeks. We'll see you in a few. And peace out.